As Final Fantasy XIV enters into its final stretch with the release of Dawntrail, still no ETA on that date, but anticipating this summer 2024, it's inevitable that people want to take breaks and step away. Now, to set some context for this video, we're going to be reacting to why I stopped posting Final Fantasy XIV videos by Quasi14. If you guys aren't aware, Quasi, excellent content creator. Everything I've seen from this guy is just joyful, and it is just a beautiful experience. However, there's also something to be mentioned at the start of this video in case you're new, or maybe you've heard some things. We'll see. Overall, my friend Chris, who I run Work to Game with, he did a reaction over on Gaming Kinda to Quasi, and he's hyper analytical. He understands how things have changed, and Quasi was sharing his new player experience. People took it that he was dunking on Quasi the entire video. If you stay to the end of the video, I think it's all very clear, but a lot of people were frustrated at it, and I still get people saying, how could have I said such horrible things about Quasi? And I was like, I haven't. I honestly have a lot of respect for the guy. He's an excellent creator, and you should go check out his videos if you enjoy this one, or if you enjoy anything that you hear him say today. But obviously, burnout is a real thing, and within the space of Final Fantasy XIV, it's kind of a unique thing. There's always a lot of things at play here, but I'm generally curious as to what he's got to say. So let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and pre-like his video because I think that's important. Guys, if you guys like his content, go like it, go subscribe to it. That is how you can help him continue to grow and live, I guess, his dream of being a content creator. So let's get into it.
So I've stopped making 14 videos like I used to because I just couldn't anymore, and over the last 6 months I've only managed to put out 3 Final Fantasy XIV videos. Compare that to the last 6 months of 2022 where I made 92 videos, but believe me, this is not your typical I quit Final Fantasy XIV video that you come across. It's more a story I never told anyone in person in the community except maybe once with Arthurs over dinner. But yeah, today I'll explain why I've been missing from the scene. And you might want to stick until the end of the video. There's something I'd like to announce that I don't think any of you saw coming. So before my story begins, it's important you understand a few things about me and my connection with 14. My approach to creating content for 14 was always deeply personal. It's rooted in an emotional connection that manifested itself in 3 ways. First, there's the profound attachment to the game's narratives and the characters. And second, I had a deep respect and admiration for Yoshi P and his team, whose tireless efforts to remake the game in 2.0 is reflective of my life motto of never giving up. And lastly, and more importantly, was the bond that I shared with my community. You, the fellow warriors of light who have been by my side ever since I started as a sprout in Shadowbringers. From the very beginning as I navigated Eorzea as a
The Shadowbringers entrance, it ended up being another WoW exodus. But I think essentially we've seen more stabilization. People were like, I quit WoW and I'm never going back to it. It's like, realistically, after enough time, it's like, yeah, there's an investment that you've made into that world and universe that it's totally reasonable to step back into it and return and go play those games. What's interesting is that was such a massive moment of not just content creators coming to the space, but like from a trending perspective, like trends drive a lot of content creators who rely on them to get paid. Now, I'm not saying that he's, from a career-minded perspective that, that his views or his motives were like anything tort or anything like that. No, it's just that ends up being one aspect of it. And there's an inevitable with the rise, there's a fall, and there's another rise and fall. And Final Fantasy XIV being on a 2-year, now say ish cycle, being that going from Endwalker into Dawntrail, the longest gap in terms of expansion to expansion due to many factors that I don't think that necessarily on like really discussing in this video, but that in and of itself has led to a lot of content creators like myself not satisfied with Endwalker. I did not enjoy it. It didn't keep me wanting to keep playing. And so I retired. I left that space. And it's interesting for those who didn't actually watch that video, their perceptions of what I had to say or what I said. It's like, no, it's Final Fantasy XIV invites me back in, which would be an obvious expansion, but also the Xbox announcement, absolutely massive. And and I've been focusing on my health. So I cannot play Dawntrail until, like, regardless if it releases in July or August or June, like I have to be below 210 pounds to continue the narrative story of Final Fantasy XIV because that's important to me, my health, and my family. But yeah, those are the reasons why, like, people step away. And I even have a video out like in before everybody starts saying like why I left Final Fantasy 14, because that is actually what we've seen. And I ended up, I was more what I feel a canary in the coal mine, going like, hey guys, hey, all right, well, let's see what happens here. I'm rooting for 14. I love the game and I really wanted to succeed, but it's also important to note that the critiques of Final Fantasy 14, I feel, are incredibly valid. For those of us who want an MMORPG, 14 is not that. It is an RPG MMO, and it's that reversal of kind of the acronym is driving like a lot of people who want to keep playing. But the business side of it is that the RPG MMO makes the most financial success. It makes the most success in terms of the developers. Excuse me, I swallowed some spit there wrong. And then it brings people back, because when I get a step back into the game, I'm not punished for leaving, and that's a healthy thing. Like, this is in and of itself a good thing, except if you're like, I don't want to quit, right? And so you have the friction between the RPG and the MMO player that exists within Final Fantasy 14, and because of that friction and the 2-year gap, it ends up being something that is not sustainable to be a full-time Final Fantasy 14 content creator. And with Quasi saying that he's only posted a handful of videos, very curious as to what he's been doing. Anyway, that was a long monologue. Let's let Quasi continue from here.
Sprout, my content always centered around expressing how I felt about the game. It was never about guides or how-to videos. Instead, I aimed to share the emotional roller coaster that this game took me on. The way I feel about the game is the real keyword here, the magic sauce of my 14 content on this channel, if you will, and it's evident when you scroll through this channel. This content approach is very different from my World of Warcraft channel, where I focus on guided content, because there, my ability to detach my feelings from my work allowed me to create informative guides regardless of how I feel. But my connection to 14 was very different. If the creation of 14 content was guided by my emotional compass, what would happen if that compass were to break? And for me, making 14 videos wasn't just a hobby, it was a way to connect with Eorzea, it's to share my love and passion for the game. And in 2023, I faced the most significant personal challenge of my life. I ended a 15-year-long relationship. All I want you to know is that we both recognized that parting ways was the right decision for both of us, and it was done in a very friendly fashion. It's also crucial for you to know that I'm in a way better place now. But following this life-changing event, my identity felt shaken, and the joy I once found in creating content for 14, it began to fade. Matters related to the game that once evoked strong emotions now left me feeling disconnected. My perception of emotions and my ability to feel deeply about the game seemed to be very off, and I'm no longer inspired to make the videos that I once made. Logging into 14 during that time turned into a reminder of my confused identity. The game, once a comforting refuge, now underscored my lack of direction. I feel guilty at times for immersing myself in a virtual world where it seemed like I should.
I felt a lot like that when I got out of college. Like, I felt what I would say rudderless, where I was in a boat, nothing. I had no idea what I should be doing or where I should be going. I always was very direction and driven towards goals, and all of a sudden it's like, well, what do I want to do? And it had me ask these kind of questions, but obviously very different from a 15-year relationship ending. Oof.
Be addressing my real life problems. And so the decision to stop making 14 videos was a painful one. It felt like I was suffering a double loss. Not only had I ended a 15-year relationship, but I was also faced with the prospect of stepping away from a community that had become a very significant part of my life. Ever since June of 2021, when I first uploaded the very first MSQ videos of mine on this channel. The thought of disappointing you, the viewers whom I've bonded with and journeyed with me throughout Eorzea, it kind of weighed quite heavily on me. And despite the ongoing conversations in my Discord, engaging with you as though everything was fine, it became increasingly difficult. My emotional compass was off-center, and I think that was the deep voice that was telling me to step back and heal. And the healing process was slow, and it needed deep introspection. With the routine of creating 14 content gone in my life, I explored new hobbies and reconnected with my friends and family, of whom I'm really appreciative, who provided comfort and understanding. And you might be surprised, or perhaps not, if you compare how I am now to my earlier videos. I've been swimming daily for the past 1 year now, and that's a cornerstone of my recovery. 30 minutes a day, without fail, and it's become a ritual to help me find my balance. Nice. But I digress. This period of stepping away to reflect, it allowed me to think about my relationship with Final Fantasy XIV. This is a game that has been a steady companion through the ups and downs of life ever since 2021. Its stories, especially those of Shadowbringers and Endwalker expansions, was a source of inspiration for me. And as I slowly recall those lessons, I have come to slowly realize as well, and perhaps obviously to you, that my identity wasn't solely defined by the content that I produce for this YouTube channel. And that realization is pivotal. It taught me the importance of balance and self-care. So stepping away from 14 video creation marked the end of the chapter, but the beginning of something else. It was a necessary decision for my healing, for me to discover a new path forward. Also, to ensure I was emotionally ready for what lies ahead. But what I've never anticipated was how 14 would continue to inspire me throughout my recovery process without even directly engaging with the game, and that was actually very surprising to me. Let me explain. So during the period I was faced with my deepest challenges, what significantly lifted my spirits was the connection and sense of community I found with 14. This community unknowingly became like an extended family to me. Despite not knowing my personal struggles, the kindness you showed and the bonds we shared through the main MSQs and countless videos on this channel provided me with a sense of belonging and support I desperately needed. A lot of you have reached out to me on DMs on socials asking me if I was alright because I've not been posting at all, and I do apologize if I didn't reply to you personally. It was just a period where I needed to conserve energy for myself. But trust me, I appreciate every single outreach, and that meant the world to me. But this community spirit is especially evident at the Distant World concert for Final Fantasy that I attended in October 2023. That was probably the only Final Fantasy thing that I did in 2023. Meeting many of you in person, all these fellow warriors of light, I was deeply moved. The realization that my content has reached and affected so many people who took the time to say hello or snap a photo with me underscored the beautiful connection we've built over this channel. I felt really moved that random warriors of light would saunter up to me and have a conversation about 14, and I'm really honored to have gotten to know each and every one of you in person. I had kept my personal struggles private, sharing them with only a few people in my Discord. The only exception to that was probably Arthur's over dinner alongside my static members from the Ultimate Weapon. Yet finding solace amongst fellow warriors of light, discussing our reflections on the Fan Festival for Dawntrail and sharing our hopes for Dawntrail kinda uplifted me. It reminded me of the privileged position I hold, having forged those connections through simply talking about a game I love. And there's just no way I could give that up. So gradually I began to reintegrate into the game. It all started very abruptly. It was during a period of time where I haven't been in touch with anything related to Final Fantasy XIV except the concert and the dinner I had with my static group. I was driving in the car at night, and for some random reason, out of all the songs on my randomized Spotify playlist, To The Edge started playing, and my connection to the song, To The Edge, runs deep. Longtime viewers will remember I lost my left eye to cancer as a child, and I'm wearing a glass eye. And Soken too composed To The Edge while battling cancer. And despite his personal and physical challenges he faced, Soken's dedication to his art created a piece that not only heightened the 5.3 battle, but it also became a source of hope and inspiration for many, including myself. And that song sparked off something in me that night that I can't really find the words to describe. But I can describe what happened next though. That night, I went home and I listened to my 14 playlist that I've curated at the end of Endwalker. Return to Oblivion, A Long Fall, Rise with Hearts Alive, Flow, and Answers, they played on repeat for the subsequent week. And they reminded me of the pivotal moments in the storyline, serving as a beacon of hope during these dark times. Their melodies echo the message of Endwalker, that even in the face of overwhelming darkness, there is always light if you want to look for it. And so my re-engagement with 14 slowly began with music, leading me to revisit the MSQs for patch 6.5, this time without recording any footage at all. And this is also the first time I've actually played Final Fantasy XIV, the game, without the intention of creating content for this channel, solely focused on personal enjoyment. And as I slowly re-immerse myself in 14, I noticed a shift in my perspective. The game's beautiful landscape, familiar characters, and music provided a sense of direction amidst my personal struggles. Then from the MSQs, I slowly encroached into doing random seasonal events, to personal achievements like acquiring my first in-game house. A shout out to Ludwig, Gratin, and Koba, my mods, for helping me get the house in 14. I've been playing this game for a few years now, but I've always been a homeless potato on the street of Uda. But each small achievement reminded me that progress is still progress, no matter how small. And participating in the 14 live letter streams was then the next phase of my recovery. Watching the FanFest keynotes, the only content I felt capable of covering due to its factual nature, that really brought me joy. It was evident how passionate Yoshi P and his team are about the community and the game, and engaging with other players online during these streams really lifted my spirits, and it reinforced that sense of community and belonging that I've missed. 14 as a game didn't alter the realities of my situation, but it provided a space where I could rebuild my confidence and find joy. It taught me the value of the community, the importance of having an anchor, and the resilience of the human spirit. This challenging period highlighted how a game could impact my life in unexpected ways, and 14 became more than an escape. It was a source of comfort and strength during the darker days. 14 offered a space to reflect, to grow, to find my way back to a sense of self, and the journey wasn't easy, but today, I stand stronger, more confident in my ability and in my life's direction, and I'm very sure of who I am. And these are lessons I'll carry forward into the future. And so, what's next? Just like Michael Jordan famously said on his return to basketball in a simple facts message, I'm back. And I'm saying those words as we stand on the brink of exploring a new Dawntrail expansion this summer. This sense of anticipation reminded me a lot of the first real expansion launch I was part of, which was Endwalker. And as someone who truly came into 14 during the Shadowbringers era and whose life has mirrored the epic highs and lows of the 14 narrative in the past few years, the upcoming expansion does feel like a beacon of new beginnings, which mirrors my own personal journey. Venturing into unexplored territories, meeting new characters, unwrapping new layers of story feels like standing on the edge of a new adventure, going into the unknown. And after taking more than a year's break from this channel, I return sharper and more eager than ever to dive back into the world of Eorzea with you. Moving forward, there's two major updates I'm excited to share with you. Firstly, you can expect regular content from me again on this channel. Actions will speak louder than words, so I let my videos do the talking. I hope you enjoy them. Secondly, and more importantly, my time away has given me a lot of time for reflection, especially regarding the incredible support and inspiration I've received from my peers in the content creation space. Talking to them was energizing, entertaining, and electrifying in terms of a mixture of laughter, inspiration, and pure joy. And some of you might have already guessed it from the social teasers I've been putting out, but I'm starting a weekly podcast, and it will feature the biggest MMO creators out there. The first episode kicks off with Arthas, who was one of the very first few in the 14 community to know about why I was missing. Now, I'm targeting for weekly episodes, and all of these episodes will be unscripted and unhinged. And if my dinners with Arthas is anything to go by, it will be a fun ride. The subsequent creators on the podcast will all be faces that will be familiar to you if you've been in 14 or the MMORPG space. And this weekly podcast will be posted on a brand new channel called Quasi Unplugged. Fun fact, the name was chosen by my community Discord via a vote. I had nothing to do with it, but I do like it. It's a throwback to the days of MTV Unplugged, where it simply just features famous artists on a live set with a microphone. That's it. The link to this brand new channel is in the description. The very first video of that channel will be published somewhere in the first half of March. Naturally, I'll try and get that to you ASAP. Oh, and by the way, if you're not in my community Discord, it's open to all, link is in the description. But the more crucial part of this video is also a chance for me to express my thanks to you. Thank you so much for your unwavering support during my absence, and for all the DMs of concern when I was radio silent. Thank you for giving me the space that I need to find my way back to this point, and I'm excited to be on the same boat with you as we sail into Dawntrail. A special shout out to my Patreon subscribers whose support through these challenging times has meant the world to me. Your belief in me has been a tremendous source of strength. And so to quote Michael Jordan again, I'm back, and 2024 will be our year.
Hi, man, what a great video that was. Welcome back, Quasi. Guys, go check out, I'll have his link in the description. So you can go check out this video that he just posted, and then from there, go check out his upcoming podcast channel, which I think is the real best way to kind of handle that because it is going to be such different content. Now, yeah, special shout out to the members here who keep the lights on and keep everything running. We've been doing gifting members every 25. I drop 5, gift 5 to the community, and I got a lot of exclusive content like this video, technically as an early access video, which will be scheduled to be published this Saturday. So if you guys got to see this early, thanks so much for being a member. And if not, I hope you guys enjoyed this video overall in this reaction. I totally understand where Quasi is coming from, and more, because it's important to take away. Now he's like with the relationship ending 15 years. That's just wild. Julie and I will be celebrating 14 years of marriage this year, alongside 6 children. So like when it's all said and done, like we've got a lot of busy bodies and more working out for us. But yeah, like I couldn't imagine how painful, and even if it was a mutual kind of step away, how painful that overall is, because there's a grieving period and more. But I'm glad he's taking the time to work on himself and get healthy. And I think that's going to be very nice to see how it reflects in his content going into 2024 in Dawntrail, but beyond that. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed. Hopefully I will see you guys in the next video, but until then, take care.